YouTube is often fleeting. Videos rise, trend, and fade. But every so often, one transcends that cycle and lingers like folklore. It transcends the platform. Ish's 1000 Players Simulate Civilization, Rich and Poor is one of those rare works. I followed him for quite a while, but I think this one transcends YouTube entirely. On the surface, it's a Minecraft simulation, 1000 players divided between two islands, one rich with abundance, the other poor and scarred by scarcity. But what unfolded was more than gameplay, it became a living epic. A story of nations and ideals, of paranoia and loyalty, of betrayal and forgiveness. And at its heart was one man, Saparata. A dreamer turned fugitive, and the fracture of a friendship that reshaped an entire world. The islands were two halves of a mirror. Island 2 was fertile and diverse, teemed with life and opportunity. Its land stretched from jungles to rolling plains, from mountain fortresses to whimsical realms. Barbie Land thrived in its cherry groves, painting the landscape pink. Empires enforced law with iron decrees. Assassins whispered in the shadows. It was a land of plenty, but with plenty came ambition, intrigue, and suspicion. Island 1 told a different story. It was harsh, volcanic, and barren. Its people survived on scarcity. Westhelm forged unity from discipline and pride. The Covenant kept to themselves and based on power. They guarded their isolation through pure steel. Now Saparada entered not as a king or a general, but just as a builder. He didn't want drama. In the jungles of Island 2, he raised a monument of sand and hope. It wasn't a fortress, but a refuge, where he had hoped leaders might one day set down their swords and speak in peace. His closest companion was Fluxion. Together they built and joked and dreamed, but beneath Fluxion's warmth ran a vein of fear. He looked across the sea to Island 1, and he imagined only invasion. While Saparada saw possibility, Fluxion saw inevitability. That paranoia hardened into conviction. Island 2 must be united, even if unity came through terror. Thus was born the conspiracy, a handful of men sworn to strike at their own leaders, eliminate them in one blow, and frame the innocent to consolidate power. Their chosen scapegoat was the very friend who trusted him most, Saparada. Leaders from across Island 2 had gathered in Saparada's newly finished hall. Barbie Land, Tricolor, Aperion. It was a fragile moment of cooperation. Then...
What do you mean you feel bad for Safs?
He has no idea what's about to happen to him. But if you had to betray one person to save 1,000, would you?
Like thunder, TNT erupted. Dripstone crashed down, and in a heartbeat, half the island's leadership was dead. Through the smoke, Saparada stood alive, and that was all Fluxion needed. The conspiracy pointed to him by his design. His survival made him look like guilt. His hall had become a slaughterhouse. In hours, the man who dreamed of peace became known as the Butcher of Day 5. Still clinging to his faith in fairness and justice, Saparada surrendered to a trial. He stood before the Commonwealth and spoke with fire.
All I ever wanted for this island was peace and cooperation between the nations. The loss at the meeting yesterday was extremely devastating and came out of nowhere. But I can tell you right now, I'm innocent. it wasn't me. The leadership in Luminara helped me build the meeting area.
He's gonna expose
And
them.
we're the only people who knew about the area before the leadership meeting. That includes the prosecution himself, Thomas 5200. Gotoga, Five Rotation, Snowbird 334, and their ringleader, Fluxion.
naming Fluxion as the true architect. But justice had already been bought. The judge had been bribed by Fluxion, and in desperation, Saparada accused an innocent ally 3 below 0, which unfortunately shadowed his credibility. The gavel fell.
Guilty on all counts. Saps is to be taken to the top of the gauntlet and executed immediately.
He was guilty. Execution. But Saparada refused to die for a lie. While being taken to his place of execution, he fled. His belief in justice was now buried in betrayal. He crossed over to Island 1, hoping for sanctuary. But instead, he ended up finding more suspicion and hostility.
I'm innocent.
Saps, I'm sorry, no.
So here you have to drop all your gear.
Well, about that. Wherever you think is the safer option. At the end of the day, I don't want any of you guys to get killed.
Pirates tried to capture him for a bounty. Emperor Spud dismissed his plea. Alone and broken, Saparada built a tower to end his life.
I can't trust anybody. Flux won. He completely won. There's just no point anymore.
But in his darkest hour, something in him refused.
If I have to die, I'm gonna make sure he does too.
If he was to fall, it would not be on Fluxion's terms. He then began to rally allies. Turntap, the leader of the Covenant, began to offer him shelter. His people, however, despised the idea, but Turntap stood firm. What began as protection bought with diamonds became friendship forged in trust. For a short time, Saparada began to feel like he belonged again. But compassion carries costs, and the Covenant loyalists, enraged by their leader's decision, assassinated Turntap. Saparada watched a man die because he had chosen to protect him. With Turntap's death, Exile grew heavier. He bore not only betrayal, but sacrifice made in his name. Back on Island 2, Lady Cass unearthed the truth. Video was showing that Fluxion gathering sand. It was loose evidence, but then she found even more. There was evidence that he had bribed the Commonwealth's court. The conspiracy was finally cracked wide open. Cass rallied the survivors to oppose Fluxion. On Island 1, Spud faced his own turning point. Known for pride and volatility, many dismissed him as self-serving. Yet when the Commonwealth demanded Saparada to be expedited, offering what seemed to be lies for a trade, Spud stood his ground.
Spud, don't do this.
Look, Spud, I have to be honest. I am shocked that you're defending this criminal. Either you accept this deal right now, or I tell everyone from back home that you're harboring Saparada. They'll all declare war on you, and this will be the end of Westhelm.
So, just to make the terms of this deal very clear, because I want to be accurate, you expect me to give up an innocent man in exchange for a terrorist? Is that really your offer?
He's not innocent.
Alright. Get out. Now.
With those words, Spud transformed, from abrasive ruler to unlikely guardian. He proved that principle can emerge where they least expect it. On day 10, the volcano of Infernus became the stage for the end. Seneca, Queen of Fire in the volcano, gave Fluxion and those left of the Covenant sanctuary, and together they were to make their stand.
A few days ago, my home was turned into a death trap behind my back. I was framed and then forced to go through a rigged trial.
Guilty on all counts.
Yes! A few days ago, every single person in the world wanted me dead. But today, you all know the truth about who really killed our leaders and our friends. Today, we walk ahead, we storm the volcano, and we get justice!
Armies from all over surged up the slopes. Lava flowed red with battle.
Down in the mines that I've been trying to see. Down in the mines, it's where I wanna be. Down in the mines, looking for clarity. I've been down, 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 but I can't see. Down in the mines, I've been searching for iron. Ain't it ironic that there is none? Down in the mines, I can't tell the time. Maybe tomorrow I'll find another rhyme. For now I'm down, 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 and I bide my time. Down on the ground, I've been looking for you.
Seneca fell, cast from her tower. Fluxion fought on with traps and tunnels, but was driven at last into the open. But he fled. He escaped on a boat.
Hold on.
But then he was issued a challenge.
Come on. Alright guys, let's go.
A final duel with Saparada to decide this in Westhelm's Colosseum. Once they arrived, the arena fell silent as the two faced each other for the first time since the betrayal.
Wow, you actually showed up.
Can't say no to a friend, can I? You know, Saps, none of this would have happened if you had died like you were supposed to. I'm sorry for everything you've had to go through.
The echo of a bond that had long since been broken. Fluxion fell to Saparada's final strike. He was finally proven innocent throughout the entire world and within the courts. When the war finally ended, and his name had been cleared, Saparada did not celebrate. Instead, he built a shrine for Fluxion, not to absolve the villain, but to honor the friend that he once knew. And his farewell was simple. And that is the essence of Saparada's arc. Not pure vengeance, but endurance. Not hatred, but forgiveness. The courage to survive betrayal and to carry sacrifice, and still to choose compassion at the end. Through Saparada's endurance and Flexion's fall, Turntap's sacrifice, Cass's pursuit of truth, and Shpood's redemption, Ish's simulation became more than a game. It honestly became myth and a realistic depiction. It teaches that trust can shatter in an instant, that justice can be corrupted, and that mercy may demand the highest price, and that forgiveness is the bravest act of all. It showed that when you don't trust your closest allies, the proof of their innocence might come far too late. At the end, this ended up being the tragedy and the triumph of Saparada. Of course, what we've explored here is only a fragment of the full story. Ish's 1000-player Simulate Civilization, Rich and Poor is a masterpiece of community storytelling, filled with countless arcs and moments I couldn't possibly go over in one video. So please go support Ish's original video, it's linked in the description. He truly created something extraordinary, and he deserves every bit of recognition.